right now, in the foreseeable future, it looks like virtually everyone.
Oh.
So the word we got was until a permanent solution was found for basis.
Yeah, so it may be a while.
Maybe we're expecting, at least for the next year, that they're all.
Well, it's nice they started coming back. Hate to see them have to take the time for the turnaround and stuff, but it's nice for people who live in California.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was missing all those landings.
Yeah.
One time I finally got up to Kennedy and got to see launch STS-7, the first one they were supposed to land back there, and then of course they landed here instead.
Yeah.
So I'll have to catch a Kennedy landing one of these days. Yeah. You don't happen to know when they're planning on moving the Columbia back up here, do you?
No, I don't.
I heard it was supposed to be pretty soon. Supposed to move it back out. Anyway, I don't know, I think I mentioned to you when I talked to you on the phone before, it seems like a lot of the people I talk to in the interviews all keep saying, you got to talk to Bill Albrecht. So I was able to find you and everything, and I don't know, maybe you can just tell me what was your job on the X-15?
It was what we call an operations engineer. Do you know what that means? Maybe I can explain.
Okay.
There were three X-15s, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There were three operations engineers, one assigned to each airplane. The operations engineer is a kind of, the best way I can describe it is a kind of a real-time manager of the airplane. We would direct special maintenance on the airplane. We would give direction to the crew chief as far as scheduling. We would in fact schedule the airplane, not as opposed to overall schedule. Within an overall requested schedule, we would do the detailed schedule work, where like when we should go out for engine runs, when to dovetail the work, in other words, that kind of configuration control. In that we would review and approve all work orders to modify the airplane.
Putting in the experiments, that sort of thing.
Putting in the experiments with an eye toward not at all supervising the experiment, but in fact making sure that the experiment in its interface with the airplane does not film up something else. Where an experiment would interface with the electrical system or the hydraulic system or some other system, air system, a pneumatic system, we would have to say, okay, it's not going to hurt anything, or prescribe what special maintenance was required for. In general, kind of a mother hen to the airplane.
Make sure nobody screwed it up too bad.
That's right. We would also play a role in directing troubleshooting when troubleshooting was required, kind of directing the efforts, making sure that the outcome was satisfactory and explainable to authorities. We would participate, of course, in crew briefings, giving status of the airplane, and in a real-time flight situation, we would be in control room monitoring systems, making inputs, corrective action if necessary to the flight controller, who was always one of the X-15 pilots.
You were on the number 2 aircraft, is that right?
I ran number 2.
Okay. Were you on number 2 before it was modified?
Yes.
How long were you? When did you first become involved with the X-15?
Let's see, I first came here in 1959. October 59, and I worked through 1960 on sounding rocket program. Well, we went to sounding rocket from F-104. That was an interest.
Was that involved with Forrest Peterson?
Yes. Yeah. He was here to participate in the X-15 program, but as an additional assignment while X-15 was coming along, he participated in that program. That was a fun program.
heard, I interviewed him last year. He was saying they had a lot of difficulty trying to get that thing to fire off of a F-104.
It had, and this is aside from the prime subject, but there must have been 8 or 10 switches that had to make up. There was first of all, was the pilot's arm switch. There was his permit switch. The instant he could release the trigger and it would not go. That wouldn't open the circuit. So that had to be squeezed. The airplane had to be, the launcher, the 2 launchers had to be down. There was one launcher that lowered the whole thing down below the airplane about, must have been 3 feet. And then there was another smaller launcher that went like that to give it a negative angle of attack so that it would be sure to depart from the airplane. Those both had switches. They had to make up. And then the airplane had to be at such an angle of attack going up, and the theta had to be such that the rocket was pointed in the right, right trajectory line for launch. When all of these things came together, it would go off, and the pilot wouldn't exactly know when it was going to go off. He'd be passing through this point. Somewhere along the line, if he had the trigger squeezed, he'd hear it go.
So he didn't have final control.
Well, to the extent that he could arrest it by letting go of the switch.
What kind of an angle would it have to be at the fire?
I think it was, it was at about an 8-degree angle, negative angle with the airplane itself. I think the airplane had to be something like 8 degrees. I forget the angle of attack. Something. The intent was to launch it very nearly vertical.
How successful was it?
We must have made, I guess, 5 or 6 launches. The most notorious of which was one we took down. I remember Vic Horton and I, you might have heard his name.
No, I don't think I have.
It was a flight engineer operated the launch panel. I don't know whether he operated X-15s or not, but he was operated in the bomber as a launch panel operator, and he's also done flight engineer work, other backseat programs. He's retired. But he was at that time, he was project engineer for this thing. He and I went down Point Ledoux. We were going to launch one out over the sea test range. And, of course, they like to have control of missiles, they like to have a pickle at them. They can destruct it. We convinced the range safety officer that this thing would go right where we were going to send it. And, sure enough, the day of launch came, and we come roaring in. It was staged out of here, and the airplane accelerated to Mach 2 and flew up into its vertical. And away the missile went, the Alsor went. And I was in the control room there, and the pen had been going straight out. And the track was straight out to sea, and there was a target out here. Well, when it got to the launch point, the pen went off like that. It headed straight for Santa Rosa Island, which is inhabited, and it's a wildlife preserve and all this other stuff. And that poor range safety officer, I thought he was going to have apoplexy watching it do that, but it fell short. It was it was tracking this way, but of course it was going up all the time, and it fell down just short of Santa Rosa. They outbriefed us and said, "Take your toys and go."
Yes. Don't come back without a pickle switch.
Yeah. But we improved it after that by incorporating a little angle in the fins, and we spin stabilize like a football. And that's what we needed all the time, all along the way. But it was a fun program. That was in '60. I think I got on the program somewhere in '61.
Now, were you getting involved in the X-15 at the same time also?
To a limited degree, yeah. And then I think it was somewhere in '61 or '62 where I was assigned to the number 2.
You went straight as an ops engineer?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you stayed on the number 2 aircraft all the way through?
Primarily. yeah. Now, there were times when we would relieve each other if one was going on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. But basically, yes.
Yeah. You stayed all the way through 68 to the end of the program. Yeah. How much input did you have when after the accident, when they went to modify the aircraft, as far as the modifications and such? Was that pretty much left up to North American, or did you have a lot of input?
I had quite a bit of personal input, and I spent a lot of time down there with running the Howard Evans. Do you have his name?
Yeah.
And I used to attend their meetings and contribute to their configuration control. Basically, where I got involved mostly was defining the configuration of the airplane as it was at the time of crash, which is I shouldn't say entirely, but significantly different from the configuration as delivered by North American. North American had all their documentation indicate how it was at delivery.
Yeah.
And we had reams of work orders and things like that where we changed things. And I remember I spent a lot of time working to package something that thick of work orders and sketches. And part of the contract with Rockwell, North American, was that in the modification to extend it, we put in 29-inch slug in the middle. Remember that? And to lengthen it, and of course the provisions for accommodating drop tanks and such. In doing that, they were required also by the contract to retain or refurbish or reinstall where destroyed all of those changes that we had made by work order up here.
So everything would still be...
So it would still be the same as what it was when it crashed, except for the upgrade for the time up.
Can you tell me who were the ops engineers on the other two aircraft?
Yeah.
And also who was an ops engineer before you on number two?
I can't remember that. I was trying to remember when you were asking me earlier if I was on number two all the time. I was trying to remember whether I was on it from the time it was delivered up here. Remember, number one was delivered first. The ops engineer on number one, early on, you might have to check with Jack Kolf. He's probably got a better memory. But at least during the middle and latter years, Ron Wake was ops engineer on number one. I was on number two. Vince Capasso was on number three. You have Capasso's name from before?
Yeah. Several times. Yeah. The number two aircraft, prior to the crash, can you tell me a little bit about the crash? Is there anything that's... There's one thing I'm trying to clear up. I have never seen any evidence of it, but a couple of people have told me about it. They said that something that contributed to the accident was the fact that there may have been ruts in the lake bed, and that the skid had hit a rut. Was there any evidence of that at all?
I don't think that's true. I don't think printed. Did you get the copy of the report?
Yeah, I got the report. I've never seen anything in the report or any photographs or anything else, but a couple of people have told me that, and as I say, I've never seen any physical evidence of it, so I doubt if it is true, but I just wanted to
I doubt it's true. The basic problem was that, the airplane created its own ruts when the gear collapsed.
Yeah.
I don't think that the rut contributed to particularly the aircraft, and I think we just wound up with a no-flaps landing. Anyway,
had he tried to use the flaps and they just didn't work? I think the accident report said that the switch had been activated, but they didn't work.
The switch was observed to have been activated after the fact, during investigation. And the pilot contended that he did, in fact, operate the switch.
Was there any way to tell if it had been activated?
There is no real way to tell. There was no instrumentation on the switch itself.
Yeah.
All we know is that the flap did not, in fact, operate. And there was speculation, I think it's in the report also, there was speculation that in rescuing the pilot, that the switch may have been tripped, although it was a guarded switch, so it's pure speculation.
There's no way to say one way. There's nothing you can go back and say, it looks like the hydraulics or something didn't work, or something was broken beforehand or something. Okay. Well, the thing I had heard about the rut, somebody had said that some kids from the local town had gotten out there and run up and down the lake bed in their trucks, and nobody had cleaned it off or something, and that's what he hit. But as I say, I've looked at all the pictures and I've never seen anything.
I don't remember any evidence to that effect.
Okay. Yeah. Did you go out? Were you out there at the crash site?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a mangled mess. Amazing they were able to rebuild that.
Well, my first view of it was from the window of the Goonie Bird, which took a bunch of us up there. And when I saw that thing sitting upside down, I think that's the end of that area.
Mm-hmm.
But a steel airplane is something else.
Yeah.
It's tough stuff.
Yes, it certainly is. Yeah, I've been back to the Air Force Museum and stuff and seen it back there. They're amazing aircraft. Took a lot of punishment. Well, number 3 blew up and they put it back together.
Number 2 had a previous accident before delivery. I don't know whether you knew that.
No, before North American brought it up here?
Before North American delivered it to the government. It was landed by
Crossfield?
Crossfield.
Oh, on one of his flights?
Yeah, on Roseman Lake. And this was when it still had the Dash 11 engines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when it broke in half.
And it broke behind the cockpit, it broke its back.
Yeah. I guess number 1 was the only one that never had an accident on
I think
anywhere along the line. How much involvement was there when North American was doing their program? Were you really involved at all at that point?
From a training point of view, yes. It was a learning process for me.
Was
I had no specific authority.
Was NASA and the Air Force and Navy pretty well heavily involved with North American, or was North American just sort of running it on their own at the time?
No, they were not. They were responsible, but they also. I don't remember just how the contract was written, but the Air Force and NASA generally sat in their meetings and briefings and things like that. They were not off in a corner.
They weren't.
Concurrence, Air Force concurrence was generally required before they...
You worked with Forrest Peterson. Do you happen to know, I've heard that there was a pilot that was picked prior to Peterson coming on the program, but that he got promoted out of it or something, and Peterson then came. Did you ever happen to hear a name or anything by chance?
No, but Milt Thompson should know that.
Okay. That's him.
Yeah, Milt Thompson should know that.
All right. And also, do you happen to know if anybody came after Peterson?
He left.
I heard that somebody came up but wasn't allowed to fly or something.
From the Navy?
Mm-hmm.
You might try that one on Milt also. I don't remember any.
Okay.
If there was, I don't think he got far enough for us to really recognize him.
Just came in the door and said hi. Yeah. Okay. Do you happen to know if any of the X-15s ever used very early in the program, they were talking about things that the X-15 was going to do, experiments they were going to do. One of the things they were going to try was a skip-type re-entry. Do you happen to know if that was ever tried on any of the...
Not intentionally. There was Milt can shed some light on this too, but there was a re-entry made by, I think it was Neil Armstrong, where he came in hot, and I think it was kind of a skip action. In any case, he wound up down over West Covina or something like that, and a turn at extremely high for where he should have been. And with the thin air, his turning radius was so large that he went sweeping out over the valley there, and he just barely made it back to the lake on the straight end, skimming it over the Joshua trees. Yeah, it was kind of a scary thing.
But that wasn't an intentional skill. But they never did any experiments where they tried to do that on purpose. Do you know who had charge of the simulator? Whatever happened to the simulator?
People involved in simulation were Jack Kolf, I believe. Warren Wilson was involved in flight planning and simulation. They were all kind of tied together. And who specifically was Mr. Simulator, I'd be hard-pressed to pick out. I think John Armstrong from Air Force was involved.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think Bob Floyd from Air Force was involved. HOEY.
Yeah, that's Armstrong's spouse over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to find my memory pretty slipshod in some of these things.
No problem.
I have a memory problem anyway, so I'll give you the best I can.
Okay, that's fine.
And if I can give you other references, I'll do that, so you can cross-check.
Okay.
But it seems to me Warren Wilson and Kolf were primarily NASA people involved in that activity.
How was the
Jim Atkins.
Jim Atkins?
ADKINS.
Okay. How was the relationship between NASA and the services? Was there any rivalry going on? Did everybody get along pretty good?
I thought so. Yeah. There was the usual kind of rivalry as to each pilot making sure he got his turn. But the kind of thing like we have now on the X-29. Carefully guard their turn and make sure they don't have travel assignments or other things when their turn comes up. That sort of thing. I didn't see any unhealthy kind of rivalry at any time that I can recall.
Nobody was out trying to kick somebody off or anything like that.
I didn't see that.
Can you tell me anything about the pilots that you worked with? I think Joe Engel wasn't here very long, but I heard that he went down to North American quite a bit on concern with the A2, and it was being modified and such. Was he slated to be flying on that? No, Rushworth and Pete Knight.
Rushworth and Pete Knight did most of the work after the mod, it seems to me.
Yeah. Do you know if Engel was slated to do some of that work before he left for the astronaut program? Or was it known pretty early that he was going to be leaving for that?
I'm not sure when the astronaut program turned up. I'm not sure when he left. I know he flew.
He only had like 7 flights.
I got to believe that he flew number 2 at one time, and maybe it was before it crashed. Well, do you have a date when he came in?
Let's see.
Get something.
Oh, okay.
You must have that somewhere in your research stuff, don't you?
Yeah. I've got
Well, I didn't mean that specifically.
Oh, yeah, I've got a copy. He was in from October 63 to October 65.
You don't have a list of flight-by-flight number and pilot?
I don't have it right here, but I do have it, yes.
Flight log.
Yeah. We had no flights on aircraft number 2.
You had no flights at all?
That's right. And we had 7 flights on aircraft 1 and 9 flights on aircraft 3.
Is Rushworth and Pete Knight the only ones that flew number 2 after the rebuild? Did Walker? Or didn't McKay fly at one time?
No. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he flew quite a few actually. He flew it 6 times, and Rushworth flew at 8, and Knight flew at 8.
Okay. I guess it was just those 3 then.
Joe Engel's the one astronaut, or the one pilot I haven't had a chance to talk to yet. I'm supposed to go back to Houston and talk to him in a couple months. I was just wondering if they had planned had a project pilot, so to speak, for the flights coming up on the A2, and if he had been involved with that. It looked like he left just about the time the A2 flights started.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was out of the picture, pretty much with regard to A2.
Do you know anything about some of the early proposals they had for the X-15 for upgrading it? They were talking about trying to get it into orbit and things like that. And then, of course, later on they were talking about the Delta Wing and stuff, which I think was slated for Aircraft 3.
Yeah, number 3 was slated for the Delta Wing thing. And I don't remember whether that was still alive when Mike Adams had his accident or not.
I understood, somebody at North American said that they had actually started fabricating parts. They actually have one wing finished. So they must have gotten some sort of a go-ahead or something there.
Didn't ring any bells with me. I didn't think they'd hammered any metal.
Yeah, that's just one guy I've talked to. I haven't found any documentation to support it. So.
I suspect that of not being true, because I think some of that depended on the status of the hypersonic, the little ramjet activity, which was in the process at that time.
It never seemed to get too far either.
No, they had a lot of development problems, and they got into laboratory work and things like that, and I think they demonstrated in some experiments that supersonic, what they called supersonic combustion, was at least feasible in a laboratory sense. But the prospect of getting a flight-rated engine to go on the X-15 grew very, very dim as it went on. The most we ever did was fly the shape for aerodynamic reasons.
It seemed to get further and further behind.
Yeah, I think that was part of the death knell of number 3, and of course Mike Adams' accident. Finished it off.
This is really early in the program. This is back during the development time. Were you here at Edwards before 59?
I was here at Edwards I came here with Chance Watt back in 1951.
Okay. There was some early tests done probably around 56 to 58, somewhere in that period. That they did out here. They were using helicopter-dropped RC models of an X-15 for testing configurations. Have you ever heard of it? I think there's a picture of it in there or something.
That could be. That could be. At the time, until 1959, I was working on a Navy program with Chance Watt, rigorous studies.
Okay, so you had never heard of those models. Do you know who might have been in on that development?
Was this under NASA auspices?
I believe it was under NASA.
You talked at all with Paul Bickel?
Yes. Yeah, I talked to him, and he wasn't familiar with it. I guess it was after.
Is that right?
It was after or before he started as the director. So possibly Walt Williams, which is the one I still have left to do. I'm supposed to do this interview in about 2 weeks.
But that extends the question for Walt Williams. Another person I might know would be a Kenny Klankenek.
How do you spell that?
That's crazy.
So the K?
K-L-E-N. Jack Kolf might be my spelling.
Okay.
He was in effect the ops engineering department back when it was a small group here before it became NASA. He was kind of an operations engineer type.
Okay. He was working for America?
Yes.
Okay. Do you happen to know anybody who would know where they would keep the things like when they delivered the X-15s to the base and that sort of thing?
Log.
I've seen the flight logs, but they don't have the delivery dates. They have the first flight dates and that sort of thing. I think I found the date for the first aircraft, but not for the other two.
Chronology.
That does have it.
NASA Executive, July 52, NASA Executive Committee adopts recommendations. September 52, preliminary studies.
Should be in
Feb 94, 54, May 54, July 54 proposal. Sending invitation to contractors. September 55, North American selected. Feb 56, reaction motors awarded contracts for the engine. December 56, X-15 mock-up. 57, factory rollout. 58. June 59, first glide flight.
That doesn't actually have the delivery date. Yeah. Now I'll have to go to the history office and try to dig that up. Okay.
Do you have these? You might want to. I can print you this page.
Well, I've got a copy of that.
Got a copy of this?
Yeah, I've got a copy of that book.
Okay.
That's why I thought I'd seen that one in there. Let's see. The number 2, when it was modified and had the ablative put on and everything. After the flight, it was in pretty sad shape or whatever, all the way around, I think. It said that the ablative would take quite a while to refurbish and
Yes.
stuff.
The intent was to get 2 or 3. I think we had. Let's see, you might be interested in ablative ports.
Oh, okay.
Design report. Third flight, full-scale flight test report.
The pink X-15.
Pink X-15. This report. Application and refurbishment procedures. Okay, that's a procedures book. Full-scale flight test report. I think that's the final report. Design report. That's the initial. December 67.
68, yeah. May 68.
Printed 68.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the final report. Flight test plan, third flight. Spec. The ablative thermal protection system designed for the X-15. Qualified through flight test performance analysis. Procedures formulated for applying, partially refurbishing and removing were validated, and an overall evaluation of the ablator's condition after flight test exposures of Mach 5 and 6.7 are presented. An analytical correlation of the observed ablator performance was conducted to verify predictability and gain confidence in the ablator system capability as an environmental envelope is expanded to the operational limits. Potential parameters are identified in limits of resolution. Full-scale application, okay. I support touch-up operation. The ablator removal, conclusions and recommendation. Would you be interested in borrowing these?
Yeah, if I could, it'd be great. I could make some copies and give them back to you.
I don't want to lose them altogether,
Oh, that's no problem.
but I wouldn't mind having you study them.
Sure, yeah.
Somewhere in here it discusses the reuse, the predictability of reuse.
Okay. Yeah, I could make a copy and get it back to you within a couple of days. That'd be great. Thank you. Okay. Oh, the X-24C. That was something. Yeah, Jack Kolf was really involved in that. I hadn't seen any of the proposals on that. Yeah, if we can take a look at that too, that'd be great. One of the many follow-ons to the X-15 that never got anywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the status of the number 2 when they took it back and they started to refurbish it, and then somebody got the order and said we're not going to do it? What would happen? They decided to cancel.
You mean the rebuild?
No, this is after Pete Knight's flight, and the ramjet had burned off and everything, and the ablative had burned through in spots, and they were going to take it down and refurbish it. And I guess North American had started refurbishing, and then they got the order canceled. They said we're not going to fly the airplane anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why they decided not to try it again.
I'm trying to remember the sequence of events. Was the whole program canceled, or was number 2 canceled?
Number 2 was canceled pretty much about a year. Well, Pete Knight's flight was in November of '67, and then the last flight on the bird number 1 was October '68. So there was the only airplane that flew after November '67 was the number 1.
Number 3 crashed?
Yeah, number 3 crashed. Number 3 crashed 2 weeks or 3 weeks after Pete Knight's flight, the high-speed flight. So that knocked that one out. That was the only flight after that. So yeah, actually I take it back. Sorry, Pete Knight's flight, the highest Mach number was in October '67. Mike Adams crashed November 15th, '67. And so those 2 birds were out of the action, and then just number 1 flew after that. So the official cancellation wasn't until October '68. And actually, I guess it wasn't until December when they tried to get off the 200 flight, and it didn't make it.
A snowstorm.
Yeah, I got a picture of that one. So.
Remember that?
Had to be a snowstorm that day.
Yeah, remember that.
Do you happen to know how much refurbishment they did before it was canceled?
Virtually none.
No.
I don't think that any part of the structure was really still here, I think. I don't think it took it down below.
Yeah. Didn't take it off any of the ablative or anything.
Go to you ought to go down and talk to Kolf. You might get more if we were together.
Okay, yeah, if you
Thinking.
want to. Maybe call him and see if he can come down here or something. He gave me a couple of things that said you could help me out on here. There was a helicopter drop, an RC drop model that was used to test out some concepts on the X-15. Have you ever heard about that at all?
Never.
Okay, I think there's a picture of it in Stillwell's book or something somewhere. I didn't see it in there today.
Interesting. I've just never even heard that.
Yeah, it was really strange. There's a picture somewhere. I don't know if it was that one or not. It just shows 2 guys, like working on it, sitting out on the flight line, and just getting it all together. I think about 4 feet long or something.
We've done that with so many other model airplanes. I just wasn't aware that was ever done with the X-15.
Yeah, I've only heard about it like one place. As I say, I think it was in that one. And it was an old X-15 design too. The fairings went all the way up to the nose on it. It was sort of like an SR with short, stubby wings. Well, he was saying that somebody, Kenny Klein something. Ah, yes. He said you might be able to help me out. How do I spell that? He put that one off on you. Any idea?
That's pretty cool. I bet you it's in here.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
And again, I bet you it's not.
Okay. How do you say it again?
I think Clinton.
Clinton.
I'm trying to think of how I can find out how that's spelled for you.
Huh. Okay. Well, at least if I can pronounce it, that'll help. Okay.
Yeah, it's a start.
Yeah. Okay. Do you happen to know, you're involved a lot with the simulator and your flight planning and stuff, of course. What happened to the simulator?
Anybody happen?
Where is it?
To the best of my knowledge, it was just kind of cut up and scratched.
Oh, yeah? It sort of disappeared, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, did they use it for parts for other things, or just people taking it for souvenirs?
I think, usually when something's scrapped in the government, it's just sent over here to the Air Force salvage yard and it's sold as the lowest bidder type thing. They just come in and bid on tons and tons of junk out there. And as far as I know, the entire simulator was chopped up in that.
They never modified it for use on any other aircraft? Or
No, they
anything?
didn't. We haven't really had many Iron Bird simulations since that time, and if we have, like the F-8 we do, but we use an actual F-8 airplane. Same with HIMAT, we would use the actual vehicle. We haven't really built another Iron Bird.
What was used on the lifting bodies?
Just a regular simulation, where we have a cockpit, and we tried to keep the distances and the relative positions and locations of things in the cockpit accurate, so the guy would build up good hand patterns. But there was no Iron Bird, no hydraulic system, etc. The M2, we actually took a splash mold of the airplane and built a fiberglass shell that was exact, and cut that out and used that for single.
Okay.
The other ones we just built up a little box, set a seat.
Like the old link trainer.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And that's all that was used for any of those.
do you know anything about mock-ups of the X-15?
The only one I'm aware of is the one I see being shuttled back and forth. I don't even know where it is, Ralph.
No, there's one that's down at, it's at Davis Monthan, Pima Air Museum in Arizona's got one. But I heard rumors that there was a couple of different ones built. Supposedly a bunch of recruiters got together back east and built one about the time that the movie X-15 came out, and they were using it for publicity and for recruiting purposes, and they carted it all over the country. And I don't know if that was the same one, but there was one that was on display at the New York World's Fair. They stuck it up on a pedestal and stuff. I got a postcard of that. Postcard of it.
No, I haven't really followed that stuff at all.
Okay.
I don't know if there how many or where they would be or anything.
Yeah. Talking about the scrapyard, is that here on base?
Yeah.
Or, okay. Is that where they would take, like after an accident, a crash or something, is that where all that would be taken to scrapped out? Okay. All right.
Talking about the simulator, I think that's where the simulator ended up. It's just some boneyard.
You know what I saw over there the other day? PSTS, Motion System Testing.
Is that right?
It's in a corner of the scrapyard.
That's going through now.
It's gone.
Well, yeah, the X-15 itself, number 3, ended up through the salvage yard.
That was just rubble, of course, but the others, of course, are. Tell me, what were the circumstances surrounding the decision not to refurbish X-15-2 after the burn-through?
It was refurbished.
After the burn-through?
Yeah, it was totally refurbished and ready for flight as far as North America was concerned.
They just never put the blader back on. Was it ever delivered back?
They stripped it.
They completely rebuilt that tail and all of that.
I didn't remember the whole ever being patched.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's patched. Yeah, because it's at the Air Force Museum.
Well, I mean, other than just cosmetic.
Yeah.
It was actually
Patched for flight.
patched for flight. Yeah.
Was it ever brought back up here from North America?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, we had it up here to prepare it to send back to Wright Bill, where it resides today.
Was there any plans to start putting the blader back onto it before that was canceled?
No, in fact, I think that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. You know, we were winding down, the program was running out of money, the manpower to redo that ablative coating was tremendous. Plus, you know, tongue in cheek, I say we've gotten burned. We had, in fact,
Excuse me a second. I have a new summer hire coming in today, and she's down in personnel. I'm going to go fetch her.
Okay, all right.
I'll be back someday.
Okay, thanks.
so it, you know, we had an awful lot to do to prepare for another flight, and just weren't willing to put the effort into it.
Yeah, okay. Do you happen to know anything about when exactly the both aircraft, number 2 and number 1, were moved to the museums? Do you know if there's any place that has the dates when they were moved?
I'd have to send you probably to Larry Barnett at a technical services branch, because he would have been in charge of seeing them off, you know, getting them loaded up out of the center. I couldn't tell you what the dates were.
Do you happen to know, was the number 2 aircraft transferred before the number 1 while the number 1 aircraft was still flying, or did they wait till the whole program was canceled before they did that?
I can't answer that. I would like to guess that it was afterwards, but I wouldn't put any faith in that. Then number 1 we brought back for our 25th anniversary.
Oh, yeah? Was that well, let's see, what that was just a couple of years ago. Maybe one?
No, ours here. That would have been like 72, I guess.
Oh. So it was brought back from the Smithsonian.
Yeah, it had not been displayed yet. You know, that, of course, was before the move.
Was it ever on display at the old Smithsonian? Or did they just wait until the new ones?
I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it was displayed until they hung it in 76.
But if in May, I went back and went to the Air Force Museum too, drove over to Ohio and back, and took thousands of photographs.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, had a great time though. Taking the B-70 and all that. You got some great stuff back there.
Is that B-70 still in such crappy shape as last time I saw it, with flat tires and everything?
Well, they've jacked it up, so it's not on the, it's not sitting on the tires. The tires, if they dropped them down, I'm sure would totally collapse, but they look like they're okay because they're just hanging in midair now. Yeah, but the biggest problem with it right now is the fact that it's leaking like a sieve. You know, it's so bad, the weather is so bad back there, it gets a lot of rain and everything. In fact, the days we were there, of course, it had to rain all the time. And you can just see, you get underneath it, and it just, you know, it's dripping through there, and you can see that it's probably totally rusted out inside. And it's just sick to see that.
And except there's mostly titanium.
Well, it looks like, I don't know, you can see like corrosion or something.
Yeah,
some sort of corrosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely starting corrosion. There's chips on the paint, you can see the little orange around there or something. Just wish they'd go in there and seal it up again or something.
Well, they were going to build a big extension to the museum.
Yeah.
And move a lot of these big things inside.
Mm.
But they never got that.
Yeah.
That was 10 years ago.
That's a nice museum. What they've got is really nice. It's
Yeah.
certainly good. That's what they should have here. No,
Yeah, except for all of our great airplanes have all disappeared now.
that's true.
There's nothing left.
Well, I've got one thing. You know Dick Callahan, of course. And I've been trying, I don't know, I've got to go over and talk to him later today and see what happens, because I dropped him a line and some pictures and stuff. But one really unusual aircraft that I found out just totally by accident where it was is a D558-1. There's one down in Pensacola, Florida or something. It's been refurbished. It's on display down there. But there's one at Quantico. And the thing's back in the corner and nobody knows what to do with it. And I was saying, hey, I know somebody who would just love to have that. You know, they got the perfect spot for it out here, and it's in bad need of a paint job. But other than that, it's in perfect shape. There's a couple little panels about this big right behind the wings that need to be filled up. There's one on both sides. And other than that, you just got to scrape it down and throw a coat of paint on it. It'd look great. And the guys back there, they don't know what to do with it because they've got a marine air museum there. And they've got some beautiful stuff. The restoration work is fantastic there. But they get to this thing and they don't know what to do because it's not a frontline fighter or wasn't ever a frontline fighter. So it sits out in the weeds and it sits there. And you know, I think if you offered them $10 that, you know, to take it off their hands, they'd probably take it.
Yeah,
So it's really pitiful to see it just sitting back there and nobody knows it's there. It's like a friend of mine and I were just driving by and, Monica, I heard they got a museum. Let's drive in there and see what they got. And it's like, hey, I know that plane. Real fine. But I told Dick about it because he hadn't seen it. He heard that it was there, but he hasn't seen it. So I dropped him some pictures and stuff. See what he says about it. Maybe if anybody can get it out of here, he's got to be able to get it here. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
See if notes on the soft. I see. Probably spelled like that.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I was going to try to talk to him. He told me to give him a call around 9:30 or so, which is about what it is. So he probably just hasn't gotten back yet. Do you know anything? There was talk at the beginning of the program that with the high altitude flights and stuff, and they were looking at the physiological data on the pilots, and they were saying that they might get a lot of cosmic radiation or something up way up above the atmosphere and stuff. And they were going to take the pilots after a flight down to a whole body radiation count at Los Alamos and measure the body counts before and after a flight. Do you know if that was ever done?
I don't know. Never even heard of it.
Do you know who might know for sure? It doesn't look like it was ever done. It was one of those things that was talked about like in '58 or something before the rollout even occurred.
Millie would probably know about that if it was done.
Okay. All right.
You're getting down into all the nitty gritty stuff now.
Oh yeah, I'm getting down there now. I've got this. I've interviewed all these people and stuff, and then I've gone through the interviews and say, you know, well, here's a question that I still haven't been able to catch.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of pages of these things. And been doing pretty good. And I say I've just got a couple interviews left. I interviewed Paul Bickle last week. I was up here, and I've got Walt Williams. I'm going to talk to him in a couple of weeks.
He's here today.
He is? Oh yeah? Gee, I don't run into that. That's one. We were supposed to get together 2 weeks ago, but he said he was going to be too busy with the shuttle thing until after it was over with. So I see him walking around.
Well, as a matter of fact, he was in Milt's office when I came in this morning.
It's like, you know Al White?
The pilot?
Yeah, the backup pilot for Crossfield and stuff. I was here. I talked to Fitz Fulton just a couple of months ago now. And I just happened to ask him if he knew Al White, because they were both in the B-70 program and stuff. Because I wanted to talk to him about his time as a backup pilot, even though he never got to fly. He said, oh, yeah, he was here a half hour ago.
Oh, is that right?
I missed him. You know how to get a hold of him? No. He wanders in once in a while, and that's it.
He must still be in the area then.
Yeah. Well, he apparently is up in Sacramento or something now. He's doing consulting work with, from what Fitz told me, that he goes around with air crashes and stuff and consults on air crashes. He's like an expert witness and things like that. So, yeah. I always remembered Scott Crossfield saying that I could see Al White staying up late nights thinking of ways to kill me off so he could get in the X-15 and stuff. Well, let's see. What do we have here? There was when McKay rolled over, I heard a story that there were supposedly some fumes or something from some of the propellants or something might have been around, and that there was a helicopter pilot that was down there and using the helicopter to blow the wind away like they do on the shuttle now and stuff. Do you know if they were doing that? I was just trying to find out who the pilot was, if they were doing that kind of thing. Do you happen to know how long McKay was in the aircraft before they got him out? Let's see. Here's one for
That
you.
too, Milt might be able to.
Oh, okay. You're the custodian of the engines, I believe.
More or less, yeah.
Okay.
Nobody else wants to do anything.
You just got the containers sitting around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you happen to know, well, first of all, how many engines do you have left here now?
With the big engines,
Well, any of them, actually.
we've got something like 20 of the Dash 11 type engines, probably only 4 or 5 of the real ones that we use in the X-15. I think we've still got 5 99s and 4.
Did you go through those pretty fast?
We do lower.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how long we kept running an airplane. Probably the best we ever did was 3 or 4 flights.
That's it?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean that we threw the engine away.
Yeah.
We used the same engine over. It would just have to come out because it developed a leak or we got a furnace spot chamber or something.
Yeah.
Fix it, put it back in.
Yeah.
So we used the same engine. So.
Yeah. You know about how many engines there were cycling through the program, the other Dash 99s?
Well, yeah, there was 103, 104, 107, 108, 110, 111. I think there were 6 flight engines, and then we had 106 was a ground engine. 7 engines.
What was the difference on the ground engine?
It just was never clear for flight. We used it then. It just touched down.
Is that the one they used with the propellant tank or whatever? This is the bare one.
That was the PS2 that built this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was saying that was in the scrapyard, but it's not. They've got a separate holding pen. That's for the museum.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I drove by there just before I came over here. I was just taking a tour, and it's like, hey, I know what that is. And there's a little sign there that says, like hold area for Air Force Flight Test Museum.
Oh, I'll be nice.
So they are going to hold on to it. That F-101, the Voodoo, it's all torn apart. The wings and the tail and stuff. Yeah, the wings and tail are sitting right next to the BFT. So, yeah, so it's nice. They are going to hold on to it. Let's see. There was talk of one of the experiments they were going to do was some sort of a panel, a wing panel or something like that was going to be used on the SST program. Do you ever know if they flew that? Or they put a panel on the side of the X-15 or something?
No. Yeah, I don't think. I'll bet you we never did. So.
I've heard that it was one of the things they were talking about, but yeah, I've heard that they probably hadn't done it. Oh, I think I talked to you before, too, when we first talked to Mel the first time, about plot maps and stuff. You say all the original plot maps are all gone?
I think they probably are.
Yeah.
John Hebner is the one you'd want to ask. If there's anything at all, I would have to guess it would throw this out.
Yeah. That's one thing I want to try to do is I want to make up a map that shows, the Edwards facility and the high range site and stuff. Nothing too complicated, so you can just sit there and see the relationship of where everything was and that sort of thing. I might try to reproduce a couple of plot maps just as examples to show, what they were and that sort of thing. Okay.
Hi,
Do you know of any other pilots that were picked for the program besides, we talked about Mankey before, that never got to fly? Do you know of anybody else?
As far as I know, he's the only one.
Okay.
We have not selected another Air Force pilot or anything.
Oh, I'm thinking about it. I had this picture I'd found. It is the forward section. It's just an X-15 cockpit mock-up or something with a few strange items on it. Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Oh, he knows what it is.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've not seen it in this configuration.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
Well, it's going around that.
Yeah. What was just the section?
I think this started out as the rocket sled ejection seat.
Oh yeah?
Test vehicle, and then they put wheels and carted around for training.
Oh.
Cockpit egress, firemen, that kind of stuff. Training. I've seen it. It's been up here 100 times, and I don't know where it goes when it's not here.
Oh, this is still floating around?
Yeah.
Huh, okay. But you've never seen this version?
I don't know what the significance of all that is. They're just screwing around, obviously.
They certainly are, yeah. Like the rubber gloves on the RCS novels. And
That certainly isn't unusual.
yeah.
The guys up there
Oh, yeah?
do that quite often.
Take a little edge off the job there.
I remember when we were preparing the M2 for its, thank you, Norman. You're welcome. For its inertia swings out there, we had to put two devices on the sides of it, just a framework that stuck out where we could support it on the sides. And things just called for a set of wheels, so they put some big wheels out of wood and put them on there. We took pictures of that, called it a training box. So we have them too. They don't generally miss a chance to screw around after that.
Was it you that was telling me the time that they painted the instrument panel pink on Joe Walker or something? Yeah. He didn't like that.
He had
You ever do anything else like that?
well, as I say, you tried to do something almost every fight just to break the tension for the pilot.
Yeah. Any other examples of things that they did?
Little things like the do not extend landing gear,
Yeah.
above Mach 4.2.
Did that stay on the aircraft for quite a while?
I think it's probably in the aircraft right now.
Yeah. It'd be nice to be able to go open up the cockpit. I don't think they like that for some reason.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's probably still in there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them taking it off unless Bill's still around.
Could be true.
Before the airplane left.
Yeah.
That was his airplane.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have let's see, which aircraft you were mainly on number 2?
No, Johnny did most of the...
Oh, that's right.
Planning on 2, I did 1 and 3.
Okay.
Well, I guess I did most of 3 and we shared 1 pretty much as it turned out.
Yeah. There in 1962, number 1 aircraft was back at North American for like 6 months for some sort of a modification. Any idea what that might have been? Is there any record anywhere of the aircraft saying this is when it arrived, this is when it went out for modifications, anything like that?
I'm sure they have that down maintenance if they kept it to inspectors. That's what it would be.
Any idea who I might call or something?
Yeah, Barnett.
That's Barnett again. Okay. All right.
But chances are all that stuff is gone. Well, Ron. Fun day?
Huh?
Fun day?
Long.
Yes, it really seems it.
Doesn't it? What time? 3:03?
Yeah. That was unsolicited. Martin did that, and that's what got us thinking about
So that came in before you'd said anything about it?
pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then it got all blown out of proportion, and we were working with McDonnell Douglas, Lockheed, Rockwell, various designs, and we went through a bunch of iterations, ended up being called the
Yeah.
National Hypersonic Research. So it's been ultimately, of course,
Yeah.
things that we want the money.
So maybe they'll bring it back.
There were, a number of different designs and drawings. So there was any evidence.
Yeah, it was just something as a concept for what they were talking about.
Their concept, they wanted to just literally take the bead and split it. 2 chunks off the rear and put a T-shaped section in it that would make it wider and longer, for more fuel. And then it had 2 external fuel tanks mounted kind of on the side that came to point out the front of the aircraft. And then those would be blown off like they were on ship too, and it would proceed on its internal fuel. It was, I think it was forecast about Mach 5 airplane.
Comes up Mach 5. What kind of altitude?
I don't know if I remember that at all. It was not meant to be, high altitude thing.
It wasn't going to be studying early re-entry.
Yeah, just the shape really.
Yeah.
Just to progress from what we had done with the B and transonic area, just to high supersonic speed.
Let's see.
Then the nerve, we got that all around to Mach 8.
Yeah. They're still pushing those out there now? Trying to get a new high-speed research aircraft? There are a lot of interest in it?
Oh, Congress keeps saying words about it, but I don't see them giving us any money doing it.
Yeah. I keep talking. I don't know if I mentioned that when I talked to Crossfield. Crossfield works on the Senate Committee on Science and Technology or whatever, so they got sort of an inside guy trying to push it. Maybe that's why I've been hearing a lot more of it recently.
He is, of course, one of the proponents. But, we've gotten ourselves up for that so many times just to get shot down, and now we're going to wait until we see the color of money before we get really excited. And I speak for myself, but there's still some people very excited. Just went through it too often in the last 15 years.
Yeah, that was still in it. It's still Crossfield didn't know that the A2 had been extended. He didn't know anything about that aircraft after the day he walked away from it. I couldn't, I was asking him, did you have anything to do with the modification proposals and all this other stuff? It's like, modification proposals? What modification proposals? Well, the 29-inch extension. 29, they extended it? When?
Amazing. No, I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah. I think he just had real bad feelings when he left the program, that it had been taken away from him. So he just sort of, I'm not going to see it anymore. I don't care anymore what they do with it.
Wow. No, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. You ever aware of any people that ever came out from the Navy after Peterson left? There was supposed to be a pilot that came out here after Peterson that was going to be flying the plane, but they didn't want him to fly.
That's my knowledge.
And Peterson had talked about that a little bit, but I don't know who it was or anything else. Oh, let's see. Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff. We got a lot of new stuff here. Talked to a lot of people since I talked to you last.
I'm sure it's been for a while.
Oh yeah, well I try to get at least one person from each major area, like Ralph Richardson, the plates or the pressure suit.
Yeah.
A couple guys, Harry Shapiro and Jim Robertson, both worked on the A2 modifications at North American.
Yes,
You may have the S leave here shortly.
Okay.
You're going to be developed.
Probably security measures.
Jeez, they are getting tight, aren't they? Don't blame them recently.
Haven't done that since.
Yeah, STS-4. Reagan was the time they screwed up my film, I never forgave him for that. You gotta take the film out of the camera, Well, I got one film that hasn't been shot, and one film that's half shot, and they don't mix them up when they run them through or whatever. Oh, here you go, I'll take them back. I didn't know which one had been shot, which one hadn't been shot. Shoot the security people. Oh, yeah. I mean, they gotta do it, but, No. Oh, you were in contact with Pete when he was trying to get stuff on for Call to Glory and stuff. Whatever happened on that? How much input did you guys have out here for that?
I don't think very much. We kind of went open loop on that whole thing, and we wanted that accident film, and I don't think we ever gave that to him.
Well, what accident film was he trying to get? There was the recreation film with the model, and then there was also the film of the cockpit camera and stuff.
I think it was the recreation film.
Okay, they showed the recreation film on the episode. That's why I was wondering if he had gotten it through you or who.
I don't know how Milts is missing, and we can't figure out where it went.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, he got it through Ralph. Strangely enough, I missed that segment of All the Glory. I never did see that.
Yeah, and I taped that one. It wasn't that they did a very. It was 5 years too soon. It was 1963, but they almost word for word they used the transcripts from the flight and everything as far as the crash and stuff. So I was sort of amazed that they went that far on it. I was supposed to talk to Pete this afternoon about it too. I want to talk to him about it as well.
It was in the control room.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see him with it.
You're talking about Mike's crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a bad scene.
Oh, not too bad.
Anyway, we still haven't found anybody that can spell Kenny's name.
We still haven't found anybody.
Panicky or Funkanek. Okay.
Starts with a K, probably an L thereafter. And
Yeah.
K-L-E-N. Phonetically, it would be K-L-E-N-I-K-I-N-E-C-K. G. L-M-J.
That's it, yeah.
Got it.
Okay, got it. Oh, Jack was saying that you might have a copy of the tech order, like a pilot's manual. Do you have
Dash
any?
one.
Any of those?
Yeah, I think I do.
Oh, okay. I was trying to find out if there was any way I could borrow that to run off copies too.
You realize that in your very life, mistake.
Oh, I know. Well, Jack knows where to find me. He's gotten a hold of me a few times. Have you read that, the history of Dryden?
Yeah.
That's a good book.
Yeah. Dick does a good job on
He's going to be, you ever heard of the IPMS? International Plastic Modeler Society?
No.
They have their meetings every month. Well, they have different places all over the place, but there's one at TRW Redondo Beach. They call it IPMS Space Park down there. And they're like the first Friday of the month or something. And Halligan goes down there and gives talks every once in a while. And he does some great talks. July 5th, on Friday, July 5th, if you happen to be down in Redondo Beach, he's going to talk on the X-15.
Oh, we're done.
So I gotta be there for that one. That should be really good.
Yeah.
I've been to 2 or 3 of his talks now on different things. He gave one at Rockwell one night, and just on flight testing. Guy is good. He is really good. He can get up there and talk and just, he knows it all.
Yeah, I've never heard him speak.
I don't have a dash one, I have maintenance man.
Okay, take a look at that. See what it takes to maintain the aircraft. The hard stuff.
Yeah, I'll look through my drawers again, Larry, but I just can't remember where I got that.
It's just that maybe Bill's got it.
Yeah, he might have one tucked away somewhere. Actually, there was 2 different copies. There was like one, and then there was a revised edition. It was a thin one, and then there was a revised, really thick one.
Well, they were revised continually.
Yeah, these were 2 that were pretty close together. It looked like the very original one. Give me the very original one, and then like the first revision after that or something. They were really fun to read.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, anytime something was changed on the airplane, they revised it.
Yeah. I guess one.
Up to date, probably pretty hard to do.
Yeah. I was in the service and stuff, and we had the tech orders. In fact, for a long time, I worked with the tech orders, putting in all the changes. You get a tech order in and says, throw that away and replace it with all these pages pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always such a waste.
Fortunately, we have somebody down in the library that does that for us.
Yeah. They got that as extra duties. When you're in the Air Force, you get tagged for lots of extra duties. Hey, you got nothing else to do. Yeah, do this for a while.
It's not much different around here.
Yeah. So, any other comments about the X-15 program?
No, none that nothing that we haven't already talked about.
Yeah.
Do not have a deck.
Oh, okay.
I'll bet Bill Dana has a deck.
Probably Bill or Mill.
Okay. All right.
Were we out there measuring?
Oh, gee, I said we covered just about everything we had here today. He did real good when you were gone.
Did he?
Well, filled in all.
He's got a memory. My
Oh.
memory is notoriously bad.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. I say I've just been backwards and forwards on so many of these things. I'm just trying to fill in a lot of the technical details now instead of a lot of the generalities that we've talked about before and stuff. But, I don't know, maybe you can tell me too, just your basic impression of the program. How did you feel about the whole program?
It's a great program. I think
Kick in the ass.
kick in the ass, yeah, literally. It was something new to me. I had worked with, in my previous job with Transport, I had worked with solid rockets, good deal. And this was my first association with a liquid rocket. And it was very fascinating. And I thought, no idea going that far out and that fast. It was just kind of mind-boggling at the time. It's pretty, since then, what with Apollo and all the spacecraft, it's much small by comparison. But in those days, we thought of it as a pretty big step.
And it very definitely was.
And a very different step.
Oh yeah, you doubled the Mach number that any other airplane had done.
And the altitude.
In the altitude, yeah. That's something that I found is interesting. All of the internal specifications on the X-15 always said that the 250,000 feet was their basic altitude that they were shooting for. But whenever it got out in the press, they always said it was 500,000 feet. Did you ever come in contact with that at all?
No.
There was hype or something outside the program that it was saying like, where did that come from? We're not doing that.
One of the places that may have come up, and in fact I remember specifically seeing it, was relative to the modified number 2 airplane. It had the performance potential of reaching 500,000 feet. Unfortunately, we couldn't re-enter it.
What about with the ablative?
With any. We just didn't have the control power to get the nose high enough to keep the Q and G within the proper interval. Any of the airplanes could have gone higher. It wasn't that we were limited. It was just that we had about reached the limit of what we could re-enter from.
Yeah. That's what they were trying to say. It just always got out in the press that it was going to go to 100 miles altitude or something. And of course, when it only makes it to 50 miles.
That's probably where they picked the 500,000 million feet. Just short of 100 miles. But there was never a serious thought to do something.
Well, the number 2 aircraft, when it was modified, didn't they remove the RCS system or disable the RCS system?
Yeah.
Was that done when it was first modified with the extension and everything, or was that just done when they went to the ablative materials?
Remember when you took that out, Bill? We never flew with RCS after we got the airplane back. I don't think.
Never went that high of an altitude.
Most of the F-13 back was build-up for the high-speed stuff.
Yeah. I don't think we ever flew with the RCS. Probably that's why you took it out. It was just one less thing you have to worry about.
Yeah, it was actually physically removed from the airplane.
Well, I'm trying to remember the tanks. Yeah, we had rocket motors were still in the middle. Weren't they?
They were plugged.
They were plugged by the ablator folks.
Yeah.
They were they were plugged, but they were like an inch down or something. They didn't smooth it over. That was something I was always curious why they just
Yeah, I
didn't
don't
smooth it
know. I
out.
don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah. But they put a plug in there and it just.
Yeah, that's all in here. By the
Oh,
way.
okay.
How they did that?
Yeah, maybe have an answer for why they didn't fill it over too.
Maybe have been intentional to get some discontinuities in the service.
Just see what it would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was sprayed over.
Yeah. There was ablative down in the
It
hole.
was, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't
It
flat.
wasn't flush. It had an indentation of a half inch. Or
Yeah, I
so.
think there's probably a picture right here that would show it.
Oh, do you have anything on the landing gear problems?
Oh yeah.
Got all of that?
Yeah, we talked quite a bit about the landing gear problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
The cable, the expansion of the
Mhm.
fuselage, and
Yeah.
the non-expansion or the less expansion of the cable and pulling the
Yeah.
hooks.
Yeah.
And then we designed something that reversed the hook motion so the tension in the cable would try to lock it tighter rather than loosen it.
Uh-huh.
Plus we put in greater expansion capability tolerance in the cable system.
What kind of washers are those?
Belleville washers.
It was just a cable pull system. It was all one handle.
It was one handle. And we had this was a good one. The K was just very stocky, short, and when we went to the increased capacity for cable expansion tolerance, differential between that and fuselage, it required greater travel of the cable. There was more cable involved to pull out before you open any hooks. And it was too much for his short couple arm geometry. So we invented a drum that the cable went around. Of course, we had to make longer cable for that. Wrapped around the drum. In the early part of the drum, the cable moved on effectively what it was a spiral pulley. So that the initial pull, he pulled for every inch he pulled at the handle, he'd get maybe an inch and a half or so coming off the drum. So he picked up cable. So still got the damage.
Oh yeah. Oh, how's the pulley?
This was behind the panel and on a pivot, and okay, the cable came from this point here out to the panel to a T-handle, and then it wrapped around here, very close in, as you can see.
Yeah.
So it's operating on this radius.
Yeah.
And as you unwind the cable, it goes out to the full radius, which then has the full mechanical advantage at the high force point of opening the hooks. But
That was all designed just for McKay? But all the pilots used it though.
McKay confided in me. He says, "I'm having trouble with that cable." So I said, "Well, let's see what we can do to shorten it." And I had the machine shop make this thing up, and it worked so good, we just left it in there. But the first half, of course, you don't have any mechanical advantage.
Yeah.
But the first half is mostly overcoming the expansion spring systems. You know, that he,
And you didn't have to worry about his strength, just his reach.
he could pull it out of the panel, but he just didn't have the geometry to get it all the way out.
Oh. Did you ever have to modify anything else because of his reach? And go to the right spots or something?
I think we modified a flap handle or something. That was the one I remember. We were afraid that in the last minute we'd have trouble maybe getting that last.
How much of a pull? How far did you actually have to pull the cable?
That cable must have come out 10 or 12 inches.
Like an old emergency brake thing on the car or something.
Yeah, that kind of
Okay. Let's see. Do you know anything about spillovers between the X-15 and the regular space program and vice versa? It's like, I believe the cue ball system was used on the launch escape tower of the Apollo. Did you guys have any involvement in anything like that? Did people come out here and say,
No, I'd be very surprised to find that the space program people would ever even admit to the existence. Seriously.
you know,
It was quite a competition back with those things, particularly in the early on days of the X-15. We were doing things that they were doing with Mercury. They just never recognized our existence. And that's pretty much true today. Anything they do with us is what.
like on the shuttle itself, wasn't it Milt that was pretty much behind the power off landing and stuff, and they were really adamant against that for quite a while.
Yeah, he was probably
they had retractable pods with turbojets in them.
There wouldn't have been any room left for payload.
Oh, tremendously complex system with many engines, that had to work.
Yeah.
And the problem there is you'd set up counting on them to work, and if they didn't work, you were dead.
Yeah.
And with this procedure, the way you set up your approach and landing, it doesn't matter if something like that works or not.
Yeah. Seems ridiculous after all the work with the X-15, the lifting bodies, all the power off landings.
But that was the attitude though that I talked about. They worked in a vacuum as far as driving the heel was concerned, because they just never admitted that we existed.
If somebody had proposed that at Kennedy, they probably would have grabbed it right away.
That is perhaps the biggest contribution as far as space goes of the X-15, I guess, is demonstration of a re-entry vehicle consistently and repeatably landing power.
Did that quite a bit. And of course up to the X-24 that landed on the concrete runway. Because Bickle was saying one time that with that flight that you talked about with Neil, where he went a little too far south, and they were thinking that he might have tried to land down near Plant 42 on the concrete runway with the X-15. That might have been a little fun to watch.
Larry asked me about bounce re-entry. And we never did anything intentional like that, did we? But
in fact, that was the only one.
That was the only one that I know of.
Really
it was essentially like that.
Yeah.
It essentially was a bounce, though, wasn't it?
Just went back up too high. But you never planned any missions at all like that on purpose. That was again one of the things I heard at the beginning of the program. That's the thing. All the information, except for like Stillwell's book, which was halfway through the program, but all the information was all done right at the beginning of the program, or very close to the beginning of the program. 61. After that, there's nothing available. So everybody's saying, this is what we're going to do in the next few years, and how much of it was ever done. That's what I've been trying to find out.
Probably darn little of what some of those dreamers had in mind anyway.
Well, do you know what happens to things like the cockpit films and stuff like that? Like I keep hearing things. In fact, it probably came from you and Milt that were saying that one of the flights of Bill Dana, he went to a high altitude and knocked his knee pad, and all this stuff went all over the place. Who's got control?
The papers.
Yeah.
The checklist was floating around.
Yeah.
That was his.
I think I lost my place.
Flight to 310,000 feet.
Slightly inadvertent altitude flight, I think, too. He went a little too high. Yeah.
Well,
but give my regards to Jack McCabe.
Yeah.
We talk about cockpit film. One that was kind of delicate was the one. Remember Joe Walker? He inadvertently knocked off one of the damper switches. I forget which damper.
I don't remember that.
Remember his famous re-entry that was kind of done by hand without damper.
But I didn't remember the film.
And he said he did not turn it off. And the film clearly shows, there's a portion of the film where you see the switch on, and you see his hand reach up to do something else, When the hand is withdrawn, the switch is off.
Uh-huh, yeah. You just
Boy, it was so,
hit
it was right there. I remember he had a few choice words to say about cockpit cameras, and he ranted and raved in there for quite a while.
Next time you put tape over the thing.
They all, to answer your question, they all just get lost. Some are down in our photo archives, some are in my desk drawer, and some I'm sure are in Bill's. I happen to have a copy of that wonderful Bill selection.
Yeah. And I'd love to see some of
The cards flying around.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get them, use them for the data that was available, and then they end up just turning that on elsewhere and thrown out.
Yeah. Was it just a single camera behind, what was it, the right shoulder or something? Is that all that there was?
Yeah, I
Over
think
the right
that was
shoulder.
all.
They just asked us to leave.
Uh-oh.
Where are we supposed to go, Mike?
He didn't suggest that.
No, it's serious.
Go out of this area, that's all.
It's a security area for them.
Yeah. Well, that's no problem. I think we covered quite a bit here.
Okay.
Appreciate it.